we give you a brass 3/4 inch garden hose coupler on the input of the unit, and you're more than welcome to plumb a garden hose right to it. We're not a fan of garden hose fittings here on permanent installations due to the lack of sealing through the threads like an NPT fitting. Garden hoses seal through compression rings. So on any kind of permanent installation, I'd rather see this thing piped up. If you want to pipe it up, all you do is remove the brass input fittings, and you can simply replace it with something like Schedule 80 PVC. Or you could use what I prefer are these Quick Connect CTS fittings. These are just great fittings. I'll show you how they work. They work just like the Quick Connect RO fittings, we call them, the smaller stuff, except this is bigger. And you can thread these plastic fittings in, and you simply push in the tubing past the O-rings, and they have a lockable ring on it, and it's locked in, good to go. I'm a real fan of this Quick Connect CTS stuff. It leaves the unit a little bit flexible, but either way, Schedule 80, copper, Quick Connect, CTS style tubing, these are all great permanent installation modalities. On the output of an XL scrub, we give you a 3/8 connector, so you could plumb in 3/8 tubing. Now, why did we do that? A couple of reasons. 3/8 tubing will not flow more than 7 gallons a minute. In fact, in most cases, you're only going to get about 6 gallons a minute out of it, which is a great way to flow restrict a unit if you wanted to. So that's why we do that. Another reason is when people use these for gardening, they often don't want a huge flow rate out of it if they're going to use it for watering plants directly. Watering ones flow really nicely about 2 to 3 gallons a minute, so restricting the flow on the output to 2 gallons a minute really is a good, it's a good sweet spot for a watering one. Now you could easily up this to a 1/2 inch tubing if you want to get more flow rate. You could also install the garden hose coupler that this comes with right here and hook another garden hose to the output. Simply take a little piece of the 3/8 tubing, cut it, and install the garden hose coupler right here. And then you'll have a garden hose in and a garden hose out if you prefer, if you wish. If you're going to install the output of this XL scrubber to a storage tank, if you're going to store the water and then pump it from there, you definitely don't want to use one of these little hot dog float valves. These are the common float valves that you'll see in hydro stores and nursery centers, and these only flow about 1 gallon a minute, which is very, very under spec for an XL scrub. So don't use a hot dog float valve. Use instead one of these commercial sized float valves. These ones are really great. Here's a 3/4 inch valve with a 1/2 inch orifice, about a 14 inch stainless rod and a big 6 inch float ball on it. These are great valves, one of my favorites. We also have these commercial float valves here. This is absolutely my favorite, and this gets hooked onto 1 inch plumbing, and it can mount in from the side of a tank like that near the top, or you could attach it right from the top of a tank down into a reservoir. And these seal from water pressure pushing up on a diaphragm from below. This valve has a huge flow rate, probably 25 gallons a minute. This one has a huge flow rate as well, also about 20-25 gallons a minute. These are great valves to use with an XL scrubber if you're going to plumb the output to a storage tank. Again, this unit can put out about 10,000 gallons a day of dechlorinated water, so this is a big, powerful unit. Our favorite scrubber for sure. Now the startup procedure on an XL scrub is very basic. Once you've plumbed in the input and the output, simply turn the incoming water pressure on slowly. Allow the pre-filters to fill up, and you'll hear it. The pitch will raise as it starts filling near the top of the sumps. And if you're using this filter with a KDF carbon, there'll be a little reminder tag on the side that says, this KDF carbon filter must be flushed thoroughly before feeding into a pump or a membrane or a reservoir. So you want to flush this carbon for about 30 to 40 gallons. And what you'll do is just disconnect this tube or disconnect it from the reservoir or tank that it's going to, and just aim this down a drain into the ground. And the KDF carbon is going to flush a lot of dust out on initial startup. Just flush that out for 20, 30, 40 gallons until the water starts to clear up, and then you can use it. There's really no other startup procedure for this other than slowly let the sumps fill up before you apply full pressure, flush a KDF carbon filter if you have one installed, and then enjoy it. It's a great unit.